All right, we are here with two-time Olympic champion, and now I get to add world champion to your title, Valarie Allman. Val, I guess adding that finally, I guess, how does it feel?
It feels really good. I got to be honest. I think I didn't realize until last night this weight that I've been carrying around. I felt like this title has kind of just been elusive. So I woke up feeling relaxed today. I feel like this was a big part of my story, of this thing that had been so close but not happening, and I keep pinching myself that it's real.
Yeah. So overall feelings getting on the plane, coming here, especially where you won the Olympic gold medal, how much of it felt similar and the same as 2021, but then at the same time, what felt different?
Yeah. When 2021, I was so unproven at that point, with the pandemic going on, there was so much uncertainty, but I felt like we'd really used 2020 to prepare well. And, it's so exciting when you make it to your first Olympics and you have a chance medal, and I was completely the underdog. So in some ways, I was so excited to come back to a place that was so special, but 4 years is a long time. I feel like I'm such a different person than who I was, and the goal of coming in and obviously undeniably trying to win, being expected to win, is such a different mindset. So I feel like we kept trying to take it day by day and execute our approach, which is what we've been doing, but I felt like each day we got closer to the competition, I just found myself getting more uptight, that pressure was just kind of starting to get to me. I'm grateful that I was early in the competition. I think the more you watch people fall short of their goals, get CITIUS eliminated.
Yeah, big graphic.
Yeah, oh yeah, gosh, that haunted me. That you just want to do your thing. So it ended up being really great.
When the nerves start to present themselves, what does that look like? I guess on your side of things, is it just having to talk to yourself, or what is actually happening that we can visibly see, or that you're feeling internally?
Yeah, I think it's so much of throwing events and field events is there's a rhythm, there's a timing, there's a relaxedness you need to have, and when you just get off, it's so hard for your mind and your body to work together. And I think that's for me, it's I start to press, or I start to not just execute in the way that when I'm my best self, I'm attacking. I love to go for it, and it just took a long time to feel okay, I need to get out of my own way and do what I've been doing.
In terms of dealing with that pressure that you had mentioned, because this is now the fourth straight global championship where you've been coming in as the heavy favorite, is that something you feel you've gotten better and better as you've gotten more used to being in this situation with handling that type of pressure?
I think so. I mean, it's so fickle. I mean, I've come to try to make pressure my friend to the best I can. It's it feels good that I've earned that in a way, but it's also hard. I feel very human all the time, and it comes down to one day, one moment where it's going to decide whether you're a champion or you're a loser. And I think that's the hardest thing at this level of athletics is there's no way that there's only one position you're going to be happy with, and we talk so much about journey over outcome. We have all these things that I really do buy into. They are cheesy, but at the end of the day, it would have hurt if it went a different way. So I'm grateful that we do have so many positive experiences and other medals, and Zeb and I have such a great bond that it is a meaningful thing for us. And whatever would happen yesterday would have been awesome. And I look back and I was so sad after Budapest, and earning a silver medal is freaking hard to do. I should have celebrated that. In hindsight, I regret that. It was an awesome day. It was a great competition. That's what you want as an athlete, is to be in those fights. But I feel earning a world championship title is something that I would really wanted, in my career. And I would love to, I have my eyes on more, but I think that's just kind of the mindset it takes to even be in the hunt for medals.
Yeah, and you had mentioned that you didn't really fully realize how much you wanted this, how heavy, I guess, the lack of a world title was on you until yesterday. So just walk us through yesterday, morning, afternoon, getting to the competition venue.
And all that stuff. Did you feel all right, this is the day?
Yeah, I felt like we'd been in such a great mental headspace leading up to this championship. I felt like we had a plan, we were executing it, things were good, and then we got here, and there's a lot of logistics about this meet that are just complicated. Like the way that the stadium is set up, you have to check in like 85 minutes ahead at a different venue. You're on like a 20-minute bus, then you're like in a call. It just, I felt like I kind of just started to get a little bit rattled by some of that stuff. So the prelim didn't give me a lot of confidence. After that, I was like, I felt just kind of off. And then I do media after, and they're like, oh, you were cursed the last 2 world championships. Like, how are you going to break this?
You said it?
I've said that like 5 times this year.
You know,
like, will the curse continue for a 3rd championship in a row? So that's on me. I'll put my hands up and apologize.
Jeez. I guess like on our side of things, like we are starting to realize just how much athletes do watch our stuff sometimes. It's like we got to be a little bit more mindful.
Facts.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll be better.
I think that would be good.
All right, so you're going through media. They're reminding you.
So they are reminding me, you know what I mean? That it's like I've fallen short. I haven't had the success. So it was on my mind going into the final that, like, you know, this is really something I've been talking about it, that this is my goal, that I really want this. So I woke up on final day and like I felt like Zeb and I had a lot of really great chats about like, I need to go into this, like, we've been attacking competitions, you know what I mean? Like, we want to throw 70 meters. We want to like lead from the front. We want to do all the things that like we talk about, no matter if this is Texas relays in March or World Championships. But then I just got a little bit stuck. So it's I think that's like part of it is like being able to adapt. And I think in the past I would have not been able to make that change or switch my mindset. But I felt like that was like a moment for me that was cool to be like, I've mentally gotten a lot stronger to be like, okay, I can flip a switch and still figure this out even if we're an hour into the competition.
So when Paul and I were watching the competition, like right before everything started, he was like, Val's going to win this on the first throw. She's the first one up, and like it's going to be over. And then the throw happens, and I turned to him. I was like, "You think that's going to be enough?" And what did you say? You're like, "I don't know. Like it might be close." And then it was, kind of thrilling because it wasn't the 69-meter throw wasn't first, and it kind of just kept things going, I think, and in a sense where like other people were in contention. So how are you dealing with the nerves in competition there at that point?
Yeah, I felt vulnerable a lot of the competition. I think it's always interesting that like, I think I love data, like the nerdy side of me is like, I knew 67 is probably what like the medaling spots would be, but I thought the winning throw would be like 69 meters. I thought my competitors were capable of like popping off and throwing a 68 or 69. So the number we always like talk about is like 70 meters. That's like the gold standard across any meet. But it felt just like a lot of people were getting momentum. I mean, I think, Paul, you told me there was 8 people that threw 65.
Yeah, 8 over 65. And then, like, second in the order right behind you was Yorinda came out and was 13 centimeters off you the whole competition, basically.
Yeah. And Yorinda, she has her energy is, like, she always comes across, like, unsatisfied, So, like, when you're following that or, like, we're right next to in the order, it's, like, you can feel that like palpable tension of like, that she's obviously like trying to hit a big one. So I felt like there was the potential that someone could catch one. But I think honestly for me, the thing that kept me grounded was like, I would go and talk to Zeb and Zeb just wasn't stressed. I mean, I talked to him after and apparently he was very stressed, but he played it very well. Just like, okay, like this is fun, but like this next one, we need to make this change or like, okay, you can do it like right here. You just gotta like, like it was so light and like, that's what I need. I mean, I think athletes mirror their coach. If your coach is like frustrated, angry, you're gonna like carry that same tension. And I felt like he just walked it so perfectly that like, I kept believing my next time in the ring was gonna be when I put it together.
Did you feel yourself kind of tensing up as like the door was still open a little bit? Because I think it was like round 2 was like 63, and I think you had like a 66 in there before you finally got out to 69 and kind of put it away.
Yeah, I think so much of throwing is there's like this relaxed tension you need to have, and like it seems like the motion happens so fast, but like what you do in the back, if it's just a fraction off, will like dramatically affect how you like finish the throw. And I just wasn't like stacking my throw well, you know what I mean? And I think I was overthinking it. I think that like it was hot and humid in there. Like you just start to think about like weird stuff, like how my shoes feel in the ring or like the grip of the discus. That's like all just a little bit distracting. So when there's an amazing crowd there and that energy, it like it just makes your brain like overwork, you know what I mean? It's like having like 15 cups of coffee and then like trying to like read a book, you know what I mean? Like the lines just start to seem a little squiggly. So I think it's like a challenging environment to, if you don't like execute right away, then have to navigate.
And then between 4 and 5, because 5 is where you hit the 69-48 to finally kind of put it away a little bit. I guess what was between those rounds specifically, like what was the conversation like with Zeb? And then going back into the ring, was it like, were you focusing more, or was it more of like switching your brain off and just trusting what you've been doing for years and years and years?
Yeah, after the 5th round throw, I felt like it didn't feel like I hit it any better than honestly the other ones, but where I saw when it landed, it like, I definitely got like a moment of like emotion, you know, of being like, I think that could be the throw that like wins. Like, I don't know if someone can respond to that, especially just kind of how it had been playing out, like the competition at that point. But then it was like, I immediately got hit by like, someone can throw far, you know what I mean? Like, I've been in this position before and didn't expect it, and it happened. So Zeb was like, that was great, but like, let's stay focused for this last round. So until it's over, like, I won't let my guard down. But I think going into that 6th throw, like, I felt like like knowing it was over, knowing I'd won, it was like one of the greatest feelings, and hard to like keep that same feisty tension.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, like, how do you not cry while throwing on that last one?
Yeah, I think I kind of was crying, to be honest. Don't like zoom in on my face. But I mean, I think it's like your energy changes, right? Like, I mean, getting people to clap and like having that moment, like, I mean, I love sports. I love throwing the discus, but like my time's gonna like eventually end, you know? Like, you gotta maximize these moments. And I felt that like doing the victory lap. I think in the past I was on such a high. I felt like I sprinted like a 55-second 400 with my flag. I'm obviously like so slow, but like last night I just like took the time to enjoy it more, you know? I mean, track, like, anything can happen, you know? You can be in your prime and then you have like one bad meet, you don't make the final, you know? It's like, you gotta like really take the time to embrace like all the highs, because they are so hard to come by.
What came over you when you go out there and do essentially like the snow angels on the grass?
I don't know. I've been asked this and like I still haven't come up with a good answer, but I think it's just like, it felt like for me such a like pivotal moment in my story of just like finally earning something that like I'd really been looking forward to. And it's, you know, I think in hindsight, this is how my story was meant to play out. I think like had Eugene and Budapest played out differently, I don't know if I would have had the same like fire and motivation, and it definitely ended up being way more meaningful to have something that like I felt like I was working to for a long time and actually be able to accomplish it.
Yeah, I guess like that's the challenge when you're at this level and you check like all the major boxes. Like I think back to like an Ashton Eaton where it's like held a world record, Olympic gold twice, and then it, you know, world championship gold medals. And then it's like, at some point you get to now what? And so, I mean, I know it's less than 24 hours after it all happened, but like for you, I guess, like how are you already starting to allow yourself to think, you know, because I guess you weren't thinking beyond this competition at that point, but have you started to let your mind wander a little bit about like what comes next to in seeking that motivation?
Yeah, I mean, I still feel really driven. I think I still have like some things that I'm after. I used to view it as like every season was like you're starting at the base of the mountain, you're climbing to this like super high peak, and it was exhausting, you know what I mean? Like you would feel like, oh my gosh, that was so hard. But now I get there's like many peaks that we're gonna like keep climbing, which is way more sustainable. So I definitely have some goals and want to continue to be in the hunt. I think that like next year we're excited to go back to Ramona, Oklahoma, and see what we can do there. I think there's some stuff that we left, like, you know, of like just really trying to adjust to that situation. So I don't know if the world record's possible, but I think I can give it a better shot of at least getting closer to it and rewriting some of those history books. So I know that like for me that's kind of the next thing, but we're always going to have goals and keep them coming.
Yeah, I mean, so Ramona is kind of, it's the big mark, 73.52 from April, but you're kind of regarded in the throwing space as like just a really good like technical model for a lot of people. But there are adjustments that you need to make for throwing in the wind. So can you just give a little bit more insight into kind of what that looks like? Because I know you've talked about, like, you weren't super comfortable there necessarily, and you still threw a 2 meter. I mean, I know you guys have different PBs, but your wind PB, 73.52 is massive.
I love competing, you know, and for me, like, a level playing field where there's, like, no extra component that you have to deal with, right? Like, if I go in the ring and it's like a 50 mile per hour wind, but someone else goes in and it's 25 miles per hour, like, something about that is hard for me to wrap my brain around. But I do think that's, like, now enough people have gone there and thrown there that, like, everyone gets is kind of like, whatever you get on that day is what you get, and not all the results are going to stack up, which is why people went for 3 to 4 weeks last year trying 10 different competitions to see what they could rack up. So I think when you're throwing in a stadium, you need the discus to, like, cut is, like, the easiest way to say it. Like, you want to feel like it's, like, slicing out into the air. And in Ramona, it's more like you're trying to, like, surf a wave, you know? And I think the men did a much better job of that. So if you look at, like, the discus sector, when I throw, like, I'm kind of aiming it more, like, towards the left side. But I think in Ramona, you want to almost throw it out the right side and have it get it, like, pushed over. So I think that that's kind of like where some of those meters can lie, is being able to figure out how to ride the wave.
And then just 2027, no discus at the World Ultimate Championships, right?
Yeah.
So are you, like, welcoming a little bit of, like, this mental break of just having to have been on basically since 2021 each year with the championship, like, no big championship for you next year? Like, does that kind of feel a little bit more relaxing? I mean, there's a little FOMO too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Seb was downstairs like a couple hours before you got here. He could have been like, "Hey, man, what? What's wrong?"
Dude, I mean, I do feel really sad we're not at that meet. You know, I mean, I think it's, like, great that our sport is, like, adapting, and it's, like, a really cool opportunity this meet's going to go. But it would not be hard to have, like, the 5 events that are missing, you know?
Yeah, I was trying to spin it as, like, all right, like, I'm looking forward to, like, the mental break of not having to been on. But I mean, to your point, like, for sure, like, it's a big payday, especially for
Huge.
you know, for you guys. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And, like, Zeb and I were talking about this, that, like, World Championships is cool because there's a lot of people here. Like, you go to the dining hall at the meet and there's thousands of people in there, and most of those faces I've never seen before. Like, it is for the people that are trying to be top 8 in the world or medal contenders, there's just a lot of logistics that you have to deal with to be able to, like, have a chance to earn the medal. And I think it's really cool they're doing a meet that's, like, more geared at that, like, top end performance. But I definitely want to be there. I'd be way more excited if that was, like, in the deck for next year than, like, I mean, I think if you're, like, smart, thoughtful, logical, you can make it that you, like, enjoy a little bit off season and then can prep for a championship. So I think when people talk about, like, the exhaustion of a 4-year cycle, it's really just, like, a mismanagement of energy. I think that, like, if you're intentional, you can always find a way to be in shape, assuming, like, you don't get hurt or crazy things, to fight for something. And that's what it's about, you know? You want to be in the fire. Like, I don't want to off either, you know? But I think that's kind of how we come up with other goals.
Without that, like, major championship to kind of cap off the season, I know you still have, you know, there's still going to be a USA championship, but it can kind of allow you to structure, I guess, your training differently and, like, where you're peaking. So I know it's a long ways down the road, so you guys maybe haven't started those discussions yet, but how do you think your training cycles might look different next year than they did this year?
That's a good question. I mean, I don't know. I think, like, we'll probably try to do a bit of a peak a little bit earlier, just with, like, aiming for Ramona. But I think we'll attack the Diamond League circuit and end in September, just to kind of keep that, like, cyclical rhythm to stay in a good space for 2027.
Now that Worlds is in the rearview mirror, like, what are you looking forward to on this break?
I really love that actually this was the last meet of the season. You know, I mean, thankfully it went well, so it's easier for the season to be over. But we're staying in Tokyo for a bit.
Okay.
In Japan. So we're gonna now do a food tour. You know, it's like finally time to dive into the Japan culinary scene, which I'm pumped about. I, like, get just as so much joy from, like, hawking Instagram, making the itinerary. So starting tomorrow, we will dive into a mad food journey.
What's the number one thing on the list right now?
Pork tonkatsu. That is, like, I'm dying to do that, and I'm also dying we're doing a Wagyu omakase. It's like 10 courses of like beef, which like Zeb is like a beef guy. So like
I need the information.
okay, we will send it to you. It looks insane, but like that's 2 days. We're doing like street karting, it's going to be awesome. Like I'm just really excited to get to chill.
All right, so I'm gonna need all of those food racks, and then wedding planning. How's that coming along?
Wedding planning is coming along. I feel like my brain has been so like focused on the season ending. So October is like really wedding planning month. So we have a date of March 15th, which is exciting. It took me a minute to kind of figure out like the wedding vision. So after like a lot of different paths of like, are we Mexico people? Are we Hawaii people? Are we Italy people? We finally are getting married in Austin.
Okay.
Right at home, which is so funny. But then we signed like the contract with the place. I was like, I feel like we're married, Like,
Yeah.
That feels like we did it. So I got a lot to plan there, but I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, the embrace immediately after the gold, where Zeb hands you like the flag. I mean, what was said there? Was there anything shared there? I think when it was just the two of you in this stadium of 80,000 people celebrating that one moment.
I mean, it's always such a blur, in that moment. Like it happened so fast. I think I just remember him telling him telling me how proud he was of me. You know what I mean? Just like his belief in me that he knew I could do it. Which like. Zeb's the type of guy where he's not gonna like lie to you, like if he tells you like you can achieve this or this is what's in the cards, like he's not gonna ever exaggerate or shoot you off. So it felt like really like that full circle moment of like really buying into that. It's such a vulnerable thing to like think you can win, and then when you fall short, it hurts. So it really was special to have that moment and have him be right there.
Well, Val, congratulations. Let the celebration begin, and I'm excited to now see just like the flurry of just food pics on the Instagram story over the next couple days. Yeah.
I will do that for you, Chris.
Perfect. Awesome. Congrats.
Thank you.